Welcome to another edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. I'm Bob Papa. On Sunday, the Giants are in Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Coming up on this week's show, we'll go to the coaches tape with Carl Banks. Sean O'Hara will join us here on the program. We'll take a look at some head-to-head matchups. But as always, we're joined by the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll. And Coach, you got to go on the road this week against an Atlanta Falcons team that played on Monday Night Football. And from a defensive standpoint, Bijan Robinson, 1,500 yards from scrimmage. He's got 9 touchdowns. They're pretty explosive offensively when they need to be, aren't they?
Yeah, they have a great group of skilled players. You know, you talked about Bijan, who's one of the best runners in the league, but he's also can hurt you in the passing game. Mooney is an exceptional route runner. Ray, Drake London. This is a very good skilled group.
Yeah, I mean, between London and Mooney, they've got 12 touchdown catches between them. Other side of the ball, they have 2 veteran safeties, Pro Bowl guys, who had interceptions the other night. Simmons has been there, done that. Bates is a really fantastic player. What makes those guys so good?
Experience, and they're instinctive. You have to know where those guys are at. That's probably one of the better duos in the league, safety-wise. Know how to read routes, read quarterbacks, read vision on receivers, and body language. They're 2 really good safeties. They've been that way for a while.
And then up front, Grady Jarrett's been doing it for a long time. And then they added Matthew Judon, who's been known to get after the passer a little bit. 2
good veterans. Grady's a problem inside. He's usually going to be lined up in the 3 technique and causes those guards issues, particularly in the pass rush. And Judon got a lot of respect for his game and, really good edge player.
Last week, obviously, you guys were fighting an uphill battle with the injuries, and then you lose the quarterback mid-game. Can you just talk a little bit about the professionalism that Boyle showed coming into the middle of the game, having not even been with you all that much, and still picking it up pretty good?
Yeah, he's a true pro. He really works at his craft. He studies. He meets extra. We talk to the quarterbacks, throughout the week and the night before, the guys that are be available, what they're comfortable with versus not, and he was pretty much comfortable with everything. He was it's our 4th guy that we've played this year, and he did a nice job coming in and filling in for Tommy.
There was a play in the 4th quarter that really jumped out at me as we were calling the game, somewhere around midfield in front of the Ravens bench. But there was a pass or run going toward their bench, and Malik Neighbors had a heck of a block. What does that say about him, his maturation? Then in a game that's out of reach in the 4th quarter, he was still battling.
Yeah, he's highly competitive. He's got great competitive stamina in really everything he does. Pass game, run game. Very good young player. He's done a nice job for us.
The fight that the team showed throughout the course of that game, there seemed to be no giving in. I mean, you had guys playing in the secondary that literally were signed to the practice squad a few weeks ago. But these guys really competed hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's, they're looking for opportunities, whether it's the defensive line, the quarterbacks, the secondary. Everybody's looking for an opportunity to go out there and make the most of it. And again, those guys competed hard. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. Didn't get the result we want, but they did everything they could do, throughout the week. And then during the game, they gave a lot of great effort, just came up short. Final
question, the challenge of going on the road this week. Last couple games have been at home, but playing in Atlanta against the Falcons.
Yeah, it's a loud place, and that place I'm sure will be rocking. They're right in the mix. Got a big win against the Raiders, and we're going to have to do a good job of practicing with the noise, and then ultimately going out there and executing in a loud environment against a good football team.
Coach, we appreciate a couple of minutes. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well.
Same to you, Bob.
That's the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll. We'll take a timeout when we come back. Carl will join us as we go head-to-head. All that and much more here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. In the Giants' Super Bowl winning season of 2011, Big Blue's postseason run would again begin in the NFC wildcard game. But this time they started at home against the Atlanta Falcons.
First playoff game in MetLife Stadium. All in today.
Falcons are going to go for it here on 4th and 1. Remember, Ryan got stopped the last time.
Here comes Ryan to the line, 4th and inches. Ryan's going to keep it. He got stopped. He didn't get there. Second time today. They've been stopped on 4th and inches by the Big Blue defense.
The Falcons' failure to pick up short yardage allowed the Giants to have long-distance success
Eli back to throw. Steps up over the middle. Nick's wide open at the 40. 45, runs through a tackle. There goes Nick. Gallops over another. He's going to score. Touchdown Giants. 72 yards. The New York Giants, they are on to the divisional round and a trip to Green Bay against the Packers.
Yeah, the Giants and Atlanta Falcons have met once in the postseason at MetLife Stadium. The Giants absolutely beat up the Atlanta Falcons with the defense, and then the Akeem Nicks big plays left and right. As we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show presented by Ford. Time for this week's edition of Head to Head as Carl Banks joins me. Carl, time for a few head-to-head matchups between the Giants and Falcons. And look, Matthew Judon is a proven commodity in the National Football League, former New England Patriot. Jermaine Illuminor back from his injury, and the Giants are going to really need to be stout up front against this pass rusher, the Falcons.
Well, Bob, it's key because when you're working with your fourth quarterback in the season, protection is the number one thing because it's going to take some time to process. And so you want to protect the quarterback. So having Illuminor back will be a key to that process.
Yeah, I mean, they only have 29 sacks this season, do the Falcons, but they generated some pressure against the Raiders. And, you know, as you've studied, it's not just one guy. They have to do it as a collective.
Yeah, I mean, when teams don't have the one standout guy, it almost works to the coordinator's advantage because they can just start to scheme up to make sure a lot of guys can get involved.
Let's go to the other side of the ball and take a look at another key matchup here. Caleb McGarry. This is a guy that the Giants are going to want to attack. Brian Burns, 8 sacks so far this season. He's allowed 4 sacks. And this is, again, it's got to be multiples for the Giants.
Well, it's multiples, but you know where it starts? It starts stopping the running game. If you can stop the running game, your pass rushers will have an opportunity, but they have a really, really good run game that has to be contained.
Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit later on in the program. You know, the Giants have not been able to get sacks in bunches here, and you think it's really tied into that run defense, right?
Well, it is. If you can't dictate third and long or favorable pass situations, you can't dictate to a team what they're going to do.
Well, the Giants are going to try to get some of that stuff going and get a win on the road. The Giants' 2 wins this season have come on the road. They'll try to make a 3rd win in Atlanta against the Falcons. When we come back on the program, Sean O'Hara joins us here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Time to send it over to Sean O'Hara with Long Island native Greg Van Roten.
Thanks, Bob. All right, down here on the field with a fellow undrafted free agent, the pride of Penn and Chaminade High School.
Yep.
Wow. What did you play in high school?
I was a left tackle in high school and in college.
Right.
And then I got to the NFL and they said, we're going to move you inside. So.
Yeah. All right, so listen, you've been an unbelievable signing for the Giants this year. I mentioned it, you played center, you played guard, both guards, right and left guard. You have played every single snap this season. How have you been able to do that?
I think for me, my longevity has just been a byproduct of, I've been a technician my whole career. I've never always relied on brute strength. This is a brutal game and you're going to break down at some point. So you have to know how to work around things and what tools to use at what times. So that's just kind of what I've hung my hat on throughout my career, is just being able to use my technique.
Give me a different tool that you might use on a pass play. I know people call it short sets or jump sets, and then vertical sets. Those are kind of the types of sets you have on a pass play. What does a jump set look like, and when do you use it?
For me personally, I like having multiple tools. So my biggest thing as an offensive lineman in pass protection is I want to disrupt the defensive tackle's timing, because they have their moves. It's all based on footwork and how they want to use their hands and stuff. So I'm never going to give them the same pass set on every pass play.
Right, change that
Typically up. Jump sets, short sets, whatever you want to call it, first, second down, kind of like, are they going to run, are they going to pass? It's a great time to use it, because for the defensive lineman, it feels like a run for a split second, and they have to react to that. So I always use a line when I practice this drill, and I get down, and I want to make sure that my feet cross this line when I jump. So you want to think you're going to take 4 steps at this guy.
Right.
So I always go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right, short chop steps.
I've crossed the line, I've covered him up, and he thinks, oh, this is an inside zone, so he's going to play zone,
Right.
and then it's over.
So now he feels run. So now
Yeah,
he's
so
kinda-
he's
anchored
looking,
in,
yeah.
peeking right like this, right?
And then I'm just trying to get his hands off, and he's trying to, I just got a 2.5, 3 seconds, and hopefully the ball's gone.
Right.
But it's just,
Now that's challenging, right? Like the tighter he is,
yeah.
the easier it is to jump set, right?
The tighter he is to you as far as his alignment.
Yeah.
And I like to crowd the ball a little bit. So like we said before, how centers are like kind of in it.
Right.
If you're typically, let's say the line is the line of scrimmage or the ball, typically I'd be back here.
Right.
But on a short set, I might move up to here.
Right.
So now all of a sudden I've closed this space between us so that I can touch you like right here.
Right. Before I get going.
Try to touch you first.
Yeah.
First meaningful contact.
Stopping that bowling ball
Yeah.
before it gets going. So short sets now, the challenge with that obviously is, all right, what if they have a twist on? Right?
Yeah.
So now you're jump setting. So you're
Yeah, I'm here.
The tackle's vertical setting.
Yeah.
Now we've created different levels.
Yes.
So do you kind of tell your tackle sometimes too, like, hey, shorty, like just let them know I'm jump setting?
Yeah, usually you want to give them a heads up just so they know, hey, I'm going to use this tool, like, just so you know what response we might get. So sometimes you'll jump and they'll still want a vertical set, and we'll just know, hey, we're going to be at different levels.
You're gonna man it.
So if it is a game, we're going to man it.
Yeah.
And other times, if I say I'm going to jump, he's like, well, I'll jump too then. So at least we're both jumping.
Yeah.
I tell the younger guys, like, you want to play basketball. Like,
Right.
he's the hoop.
Yeah.
You, like, you're
him a
playing
one-way
defense.
go.
Yeah. Like, okay, I'm in front of you. We wouldn't stand here if the hoop's over there because you're just going to drive.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'm going to make you go the long way.
Yeah. I like it. A little
Yeah.
better in basketball, because basketball you only get 5 fouls.
Yeah, no, I'd foul out pretty fast.
Yeah, football.
Yeah.
Yeah, football players and basketball players don't always mix.
Yeah.
But Greg, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Good luck with that silent count down
Thank you.
there.
Yeah.
I know that's always fun.
Yep.
All right, we've got a lot more to come right here on the Coach Daboll Show. Coming up next, John Schmelk is going to join me, and we're going to talk about the new quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons right here on the Coach Daboll Show.
We're back here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford, joined by Sean O'Hara. Sean got some news on Tuesday. Atlanta Falcons coming off their Monday night win, deciding to go with Michael Penix, their rookie quarterback, to start this week against the Giants. Penix, just 2 games of the NFL, but 6 years in college, including a final year at Washington, went all the way to the national championship game, lost to Michigan, but over 4,900 passing yards and 36 touchdowns.
Yeah, John, extremely productive in college, and look, almost won the national championship. For Michael Penix, it's never been about can he throw the ball. This guy's got an unbelievable gifted arm. He's got a cannon. He can make every single throw from within the pocket, and he doesn't have to step into it. He can do it from any platform. So the physical ability is there. Now for him, it's can he see the defenses? How quickly can he process that? Can he get the ball out? Obviously a tough challenge for him on a short week, right? You play Monday night, now you're the starter. I don't know many quarterbacks that get benched after a win, but the Atlanta Falcons are in the playoff hunt, so they're looking for some juice.
Yeah, Penix, a lefty, he's a southpaw, had 3 big-time wide receivers in college that are now in the NFL, Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze, and Jalen McMillan, and he has a lot of weapons with the Falcons. How does he fit into that West Coast-style offense that they run there?
Yeah, great question. And I think you mentioned the first part about he's left-handed. So now everything is going to change. So now you've got a left-handed quarterback, all the slants you want coming from the left side as opposed to the right side. They're going to probably change some formation stuff. If you want to roll them out at all, you want them rolling left. But they've got a 3-headed monster. Like Kyle Pitts at tight end, Darnell Mooney is the speedster, and then Drake London. So he has some really talented guys. I think for Michael Penix, the biggest thing is he's just got to, what does he see? Is he going to be able to read the whole field? Does he see the whole defense? Or are they going to just kind of shorten things up where he's throwing to half the field? I think his accuracy and the fact that the ball gets to where it's going rather quickly, I think that could really help out the receivers, which could make it a little bit tougher for the Giants defense.
Offensive coordinator Zach Robinson comes from that Sean McVay school. They have a lot of weapons on that offense, including Bijan Robinson. Let's throw it over to Bob Pop and Carl Banks with strategy to look at Robinson and some of those offensive weapons.
Time for this week's edition of Strategy, brought to you by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the New York Giants. And Carl, we're going to go to the coach's tape here, and Bijan Robinson is in his 2nd year out of Texas. And the Giants over the last couple of weeks have faced some really good running backs, and this guy holds a candle to nobody.
Well, Bob, I tell you, they just get stronger and stronger. And when you look at Bijan run, he is as good as they come. When he gets running downhill, good luck with your defensive backs getting him to the ground. So the key to stopping this run is don't let him get his shoulders pointed downfield. And when you have a technique, and this is basically a one technique, he cannot get hooked because it's all zone read. It's the thing that has plagued the Giants that they've gotten fixed over the last couple of weeks. But let's just take a look here. It's always one guy when they get that zone read, and that's going to be that guy who's offset to the center, freeze. So he's blocked, 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 blocked. He's going to hit it right there. One guy can set off an entire play, and as you can see, once he gets going downhill, there's a defensive back. Tampa's a good tackling team too. He just bounces right off of him.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson has 1,100 yards rushing this season and 8 rushing touchdowns. And Carl, it's pretty much a lot of the same stuff that they run over and over.
Right, so the first run came here, inside. Second run will come here. They're going to get this guy, and they're just going to run it outside. You have to set the edge. You hear it all the time. Watch this. 98. Right there, you can see he's about to get hooked. Now he's pinned inside. Guess where the ball goes? Right in this area here. And then he's downhill on a defensive back. It's just unfair when he gets his shoulders pointed upfield. Bijan again. Here he is just leaking out of the backfield, and he becomes an asset to his quarterback. Now he's covered here, up at the top of the screen. Now the quarterback doesn't even see him, but he sees the quarterback in trouble. He uncovers. Now the ball's in his hand. As you can see, he's not easy to get down.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of an improv play, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. But that's a player being aware of, hey, let me find the open area. And then once he's in the open field,
sure,
impossible to deal with.
And now when you get to the receivers, Drake London's a big, strong guy. You look at him on film, you say, is he polished or is he not? But he just seems to get open all the time. Here he is at the top of the screen here. And you'll see he just basically physically beats the defensive back for the inside position. So look, defensive back is in good position here. He's got him pinned to the sideline. But look what happens. He just works himself back in. Good throw, good catch in traffic.
Yeah, I mean, and they're really physical when it comes to that kind of stuff. And he made some contested catches on Monday night against the Raiders. So you got to fight through with him, don't you?
You do. The play is not over. These guys, especially London, he just continues to work. So the play's not over until the ball is not in his hands. Because if he's running a route, don't give up on it because he's going to try to get it. Now, they have good receivers. But the other weapon that the Giants are going to have to be alert for is the tight end position. The tight end last week had a lot of success. He was wide open. They're going to try to take advantage of missing linebackers and missing cornerbacks and missing safety. So here you'll see Kyle Pitts. He's a guy that we haven't talked a lot about this year, but this could be his get-right game because he is as crafty of a tight end as you'll get. And this is an old adage here. If a tight end releases to the inside, expect him to come back outside. But no one studies that as much, so the Giants are going to have to study that because you'll see him look like he's going to run a crossing route. He's all the way to the far hash, only to work himself back there. And he's wide open, he's fast, he's big. But again, it's all about alignment with the tight ends. And because the Giants have had given up some recent success to tight ends, they're going to have to pay attention to this. His release tells you everything about where he wants to go. He goes in, that's not a crossing route. He's coming back out. If he goes out, it's probably a crossing route.
Right, and he has wide receiver-like skills, which is why he was a first-round pick. Hasn't had the kind of season that they would like from him, but he's somebody that's going to threaten this Giants.
He absolutely will.
All right, Carl, let's get some final thoughts on this game between the Giants and Falcons. The Giants are going on the road. Obviously, the 2 wins this season have come on the road. Atlanta, they're still fighting for their playoff lives. What are some of the things that you're looking for in this game?
Well, again, I want to see the energy from the defense again. This is their next big challenge. And if they don't get this challenge contained, it's going to be a tough night. So run the football for the Giants, protect the quarterback. On the other side of the field, take away the one thing that hurts you most, and that's the run game. They have to focus on that and they can patchwork the pass defense.
As a former player, obviously you had a lot of success winning 2 Super Bowls, and even in your time in Cleveland, you made it to the playoffs and were in contention. But when you're having one of these seasons where you're kind of out of it, like the Giants are, and you know you're playing a team late in the season that still has playoff aspirations, does playing the role of spoiler ever factor in?
It never not factors in, put it that way, because you have your own agenda, right? And if you can accomplish your agenda en route of spoiling someone else's playoffs, tough for them, because it's the NFL, everybody gets paid, so you have to go out and do your job. And yeah, victory is sweet, and if you can knock someone else out of the playoffs, so be it.
This week's game between the Giants and the Falcons is presented by Teradata. Teradata is an official analytics partner of the New York Giants, delivering harmonized data and faster innovation. Well, that wraps it up for this week's show. For Carl Banks, Coach Daboll, Sean O'Hara, and our entire crew, we want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford.